NBA today, the aforementioned Kelsey Mitchell. Congrats on your and congrats on your 34-point performance. What did you have working there in game one for you?
I think it was just about having confidence for one, leaning on my preparation, and then my teammates, our chemistry, everything we've been through this season.
Kelsey Mitchell has finally spoken. After what feels like an eternity of carefully curated sound bites, media narratives spun by outsiders, and endless speculation from every corner of the sports world, the veteran soul of the Indiana Fever has pulled back the curtain. She didn't just answer a question, she unleashed a truth bomb. And in doing so, she provided a masterclass in leadership, loyalty, and emotional intelligence. The cameras captured every syllable, every subtle inflection, and the WNBA universe is buzzing, trying to decode the layers. Is this a simple story of admiration, the quiet beginnings of a professional rivalry? Or is it the most brutally honest, strategically brilliant, and refreshingly real teammate assessment we have witnessed in professional sports in decades? That, my friends, is for you to decide.
And then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you better appreciate her because, you know, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, you know, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, you know, what it is now.
But before we descend into the heart of the matter, a question for you, and I want you to think deeply about this. Do you believe Caitlin Clark has fundamentally and irrevocably changed the sport of basketball, not just for women, but as a global phenomenon? Is this the single most significant paradigm shift in modern sports? Let your voice be heard in the comments below.
Pretty sure somebody took care of it for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable, funny sense of humor. And so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team is just her way of doing it.
Let's properly set the stage, because without the context, the weight of Mitchell's words is lost. Understand this. Anytime a player, coach, or even a water boy for the Indiana Fever steps within a 10ft radius of a microphone, the Clark question is coming. It is an absolute, unassailable certainty. It's a predictable, almost Pavlovian response from the media. You could be in the middle of breaking down the complexities of a new defensive scheme, discussing a crucial upcoming road trip, or even talking about your favorite pregame meal, and then like an eclipse, it descends. But what about Caitlin? This time, the person in the hot seat was not just another player. It was Kelsey Mitchell.
You guys have made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexie Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Caitlin, and then you get AB. And so you culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really, vibe and get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you better appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And
let that name resonate for a moment. This is the very same Kelsey Mitchell who for years was the franchise's lone flickering star in a sea of darkness. She was the one who carried this team through its bleakest, most desolate days. She was the warrior on the court when an Indiana Fever victory was not just an upset, but a certifiable miracle. We are talking about the era of winning 5 games in an entire season. 5. You could count them on one hand and still have fingers left over to wave goodbye to your playoff hopes in May. That is the professional abyss she not only survived, but did so with class. That is the psychological baggage she carried. While the rest of the league viewed a game against Indiana as a glorified paid practice scrimmage, a night to pad the stats and rest the starters in the fourth quarter, she had to endure the task of pushing a boulder of mediocrity up a hill every single night, often being the only player in double digits, only to face the cameras afterward and talk about building blocks and positive takeaways from a 24.
I thought it was really poor, really poor.
Kelsey Mitchell, what about the way she was playing today made it so difficult?
Well, one, she made every freaking shot, it seemed like. Long twos, short twos, threes, get the free throw line,
When Kelsey Mitchell finally spoke about Caitlin Clark, it wasn't a PR line or a hollow "she's great" cliche. It was raw, authentic, and filled with the wisdom of someone who has survived the toughest years of Indiana Fever basketball. Mitchell didn't just compliment Clark, she confirmed what everyone sees. Caitlin Clark didn't only change the Fever, she changed the entire basketball ecosystem. Kelsey, who had just finished an MVP-caliber season herself, could have been bitter. She had carried this team for years when arenas were half empty and wins were rare. She had every right to resent the spotlight suddenly being consumed by a rookie. But instead, she chose respect. Her words carried the weight of truth. Yes, Clark transformed everything, but Mitchell's grind, consistency, and loyalty laid the foundation for this rebirth. Without Kelsey, Clark wouldn't have had this stage to shine, and that's what made her statement seismic. There was no jealousy in her tone, no backhanded qualifiers. Just genuine admiration from one star to another. Yet Mitchell also reminded everyone she has been here through the storms. She was the backbone when Indiana was irrelevant. She didn't ask for a trade, didn't complain, didn't fade. She stayed, scored, and kept the lights on until Boston arrived, until Clark arrived, until hope arrived. That's why her perspective matters. She has lived both versions of the Fever, the laughingstock and now the resurrection, and she knows which one fills arenas, lands TV slots, and puts money in every player's pocket. She even called Caitlin not just a teammate, but a friend. That word matters, because where other super teams have crumbled under egos, this group has built trust and chemistry. Mitchell also shared moments the public doesn't see, like when Clark joked about a fine on Twitter. Outsiders overanalyzed it, but in the locker room, players laughed. They loved her humor. That kind of acceptance proves the culture is strong. If there were real issues, that tweet would have sparked drama. Instead, it showed a bond outsiders can't touch. Now comes the part that should terrify the league. The core four: Clark, Mitchell, Boston, and Hull. Mitchell even hinted she'd take a pay cut to keep them together. In today's sports era of get the bag, that's unheard of. But she sees the bigger picture. They're not just chasing wins, they're building a legacy. Indiana was once the WNBA's punchline. Now, they're the headline. And it's not hype. It's chemistry, friendship, and shared belief. Mitchell believes it, Clark fuels it, Boston anchors it, and Hull grinds for it. Together, they've turned a franchise of despair into a terrifying contender. Kelsey Mitchell's comments weren't just quotes. They were a manifesto. A declaration that she embraces Clark's impact, values her own journey, and is all in on Indiana's future. She's not threatened, she's inspired. And that makes her the heartbeat of a team on the verge of greatness. The real question isn't whether the Fever can win, it's whether the rest of the league understands what they're up against. Because if this core stays intact, we're not just looking at a contender, we're looking at a dynasty in the making. So I'll leave you with this. Are we witnessing the birth of the next great sports dynasty, not built on one superstar, but on mutual respect, chemistry, and friendship?